They don't really consider at all how this is going to change the world. It's not just content creation. This is going to change everything, every single job. And I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're writing code or flying a plane. They're all eventually going to be done by agents. Some of them will be embodied agents in robots, right? And we are just now getting to the point where these agents can be useful.
Welcome to Tech and Tea. I'm your host, Gav Blacksburg. I'm here with Alex Finn and Penny2X, and today we are going to be talking about Grok 3, OpenAI, Elon Musk baby mamas, and so much more that has been going on in the world. It's been a huge week for technology and for tea, to be quite honest. Let's kick into things. You're seeing Grok 3 all over the timeline. When I hear Grok 1, Grok 2, Grok 3, I know some of the differences, but I think most people have no freaking clue what's going on. Penny, kick us into this. What's so revolutionary about Grok 3?
Well, there's a lot of revolutionary things about Grok 3. I would say, first of all, is the ability for it to think and share its chain of thought. There's two main features that are like really awesome. I think it's called deep search, right? And what you do with deep search is it's like planning out a response to you. It's, looking out to websites, whatever. And you can also do the think. And the think, unlike, what they're doing at OpenAI, it's displaying every line of thought along the way. You can see what Grok is thinking about. When you tell it to create you a game, it's like, oh, well, we need to think about how to do the score. So the score probably belongs on the top of the screen or whatever. And you can go through like each step of its thinking, which is really helpful if you want to understand how to answer those questions yourself, how to build something yourself. How is Grok thinking about it? The difference between Grok 2 and Grok 3 has been unbelievable, right? Like, I'm doing a lot of AI-based development. So has Alex. I had more or less ignored Grok up to this point when it came to coding, right? You would go to Claude, Sonnet, you would go to OpenAI. There's various other things that you can do to get AI to help you with coding, but Grok was not it. And now it's so good that you can say, like, I want to create a game that I'm going to run in my browser. I want to just drop it on my desktop in a single file, and I want it to do these things. I made a game that was a side scroller, and you jump off different platforms and you get power-ups and all those different things. And I literally did not write one line of code. All I did was copy from Grok, paste into a single file and run it. And I posted the game and got like 1 million views. It was fun, right? So I think it's wild how much smarter these things are. And it just makes me think how close we are to super intelligence. I really think that the world is like on the verge of gigantic changes. And the fact that OpenAI, had a huge head start. When did XAI start? Less than 2 years ago now, and they've already caught up and are creating state-of-the-art stuff. What we're going to see a year or two from now is just absolutely insane. I'm like terrified and excited at the same time.
I just want to dig one little bit deeper, and then I'll turn it to you, Alex. So for somebody that wants to code now, like, how simple is it? Do they just tell it like, hey, write the entire program for me and then like tell me how to plug this into Python? Like, how simple is it?
So I think where it starts to get more tricky is organization of code. To create something super complex means creating a lot of different files and relationships between those files. When you're using Grok, you can tell it to create that structure for you. But once it gets big enough, eventually it's going to start to trail off on its ability to keep track of everything at once and fix it for you. So what professional developers do is they create that hierarchy themselves, and they're only interacting with, say, one page of their code and the AI at the same time. That's much more difficult to do for a non-technical person. But what it means is that you're not creating undesired drift in your code. Like if you say add a scoreboard, and it creates a scoreboard for you and you don't touch anything, you don't know exactly where in your program it's going to put that code. It may overwrite something that you already had that was working and it's broken. So yes, like I did not write a single line of code, and the game is actually pretty fun. And I mean, it's not complicated, right? But it's like, it's a real game. You've got lives, you've got health, you've got a score. And I didn't type anything. I just, at first I created a basic game. I'm like, I want a side scroller where I can jump between platforms and gather coins. And then it did that. And I'm like, okay, well now I want enemies. and I want them to be this type of enemy. And it did. And then I'm like, okay, now I want the main character to look like a dog. And it made the main character look like a dog. And I just kept going and adding more things. And I just kept copying the code, literally the entire thing. I just hit the copy button at the top of what gets returned from Grok, and I paste it into a .html file on my desktop. I had to be smart enough to know it, to tell it that that's what I wanted, right? Like, I don't want some complicated program. I want something that I can put in an HTML file and put it on my desktop. But if I do, you can build almost anything. It's just at a certain point, it gets a bit too complicated to manage it by itself.
It's fascinating. Alex, you are much more of a coder than I am. You've gone on absolute coding binges I've seen from your timeline. How do you see what we're witnessing in AI filtering into everything that you do?
Yeah, Grok 3 is amazing. I think the thing that it revolutionizes the most is the user experience. It's the best user experience out of any AI, I'd say, at the moment. The big reason being is the big reasoning model was ChatGPT 01 before this, then 03 mini and all that. But the ChatGPT user experience is pretty garbage, right? You have to go in, you have to choose one of 20 different models, then you choose the different models and they all have a different kind of feature set and strength and this and that. And even someone as, I use AI a majority of the day, every single day. Even for someone like me, it's still like annoying to have to decide like which model to use and which app to use and all that. And Grok and OpenAI, they completely eliminated that. There's only one model, right? Grok 3, the only real decision you have to make is, okay, do I want to use thinking, which, does the reasoning, or do I want to use deep search, which takes a bunch of time on the internet to gather sources? But that's a lot easier of a decision tree than what you have with ChatGPT at the moment, which is not only do you have to decide, do I do deep research? Everyone's using deep. I think I read some tweet that's like, this is all a collaborative effort to like SEO the hell out of DeepSeek away. So everyone's just putting deep in all their stuff so you can't find DeepSeek on Google. Besides the point. You have to decide anyway on ChatGPT if you do deep research or not. Grok just eliminated like the entire other decision tree of what model to use. So it's the best when it comes to that user experience. It's the best when it comes to just the UI itself and like seeing the chain of thought. It has a very elegant solution to chain of thought, which makes it a lot easier and easier to understand what the model's doing, which I love. From a coding perspective, yeah, it's really powerful. Especially if you're a stone cold beginner. If you're a stone cold beginner, it is super, super powerful, right? I've put out a bunch of videos the last few days on like, here's how to one-shot a video game. Here's how to one-shot a real-time news app and all that. And when you're like one-shotting stuff like this, I think it's the most powerful. But like there's levels to this, right? If you're a stone cold beginner, like, yeah, what Penny showed with his game, what I've been showing with this type of stuff, like this is the way to do it. But as you get more advanced, you're going to want to start using like tools dedicated to program like Cursor or Windsurf. And based on my experimentation, even though Claude's not as good as ChatGPT 03 for coding, even though Claude's not as good as Grok for coding, I still prefer Claude for more advanced coding tasks. The reason being is Claude is the best pair programmer personality, right? When you try to pair program with Claude, it does a really good job of communicating and working as a programmer. When you try to code with Grok or try to code with ChatGPT, even though they're smarter models, they don't communicate with you like a pair programmer. They communicate with you like an AI chatbot, which actually makes it, even though they're smarter, more difficult to actually build enterprise software, in my opinion. And so I've experimented, even though the Grok 3 API is not out yet, I've experimented in Cursor and Windsurf with all the models. And even the smarter ones, Claude is still king. Claude is still king when it comes to like really advanced programming with Cursor. But if you're a noob, which 99.9% of people are, and you're trying to just get your feet wet with programming and coding, Grok 3 is king at the moment.
I'm really excited for the Grok API because I want to see how it works in that pair programming scenario. And Claude is not the same when you're copy pasting in and out of a UI compared to you're highlighting the code in your app and pushing a button and sending it straight to Claude or whatever, right? So I think I'm really excited to see what happens in the next few days when they release the API.
I think Anthropic, and the reason why they're still, I think, so powerful is they've been focusing, and I love this, on user experience a ton when it comes to communication with the AI. You know, if you do a blind test at the moment, not even like a pure intelligence test, but just a blind test of like experience communicating with the AI, I think Claude is by far the best. It's not even a pure intelligence. It's just I feel like I am communicating with a human being test. Like if you were to test not which is the smartest, fastest, any of that, just which one makes me feel like I'm talking to a human being, Claude is by far the best. And so, you know, I part of me wishes Grok and OpenAI would put a little bit more time and effort into that, because when you're talking to it in Cursor, when you're talking to it just in the, you know, Claude.com or whatever, you really do feel like you're communicating with a human being, which I think is some people on X in the AI community call it the vibe test. Claude passes the vibe test the best, which I wish the other companies would focus on.
Let's take a look for a second at the video that you were mentioning there, Alex. And one thing that stood out to me about this video is you got 2,000 likes, but 6,000 bookmarks on that. So clearly a lot of people interested in learning how to actually code and utilize these tools, even if they're not willing to, for some reason, leave a like, which doesn't even go public these days.
Leave your like. Hey, listen, if you're watching this right now and you bookmark my posts, leave a like, dude. Leave a like, right? We got 6,000 bookmarks and 2,000 likes. Leave a like. I'm not getting the dopamine hits I want. I get slightly more dopamine from the likes and the bookmarks. So can we please start engaging on the like button as well? And obviously retweet, that'd be great. But let's start with the like.
Aren't you finding that the bookmarks do better in terms of adding impressions than likes do? Like my videos that get bookmarks, they rocket in the algo.
Here's what this video, what is this guy doing? We got a clown producer here. Jesus.
This video was okay.
This is what bookmarks do for a little X algo session here. Could have been better. Thanks for the engagement. It's 2 extra cents.
Hey, he's verified. He's verified, okay?
Yeah, 2 extra cents on my next ad revenue check. Although Elon just retweeted me, so I'm rich, baby.
Wait, what did Elon retweet? Which one?
My latest one, the Grand Theft Auto one, where I built Grand Theft Auto in one shot. There we go. And it's still going. He retweeted right after I went to bed, so I woke up this morning. What is
there a good strategy here? Obviously, you guys are making content partially for the love of making content, and you know it's very timely stuff. Are you trying to maybe get certain people to engage with this content when you do it at a certain time?
Why else would you be on social media if you're not trying to get people to engage with your content? Well, no, there's multiple things I'm doing here. One is I legitimately love this, right? You can't be successful on social media, especially X, if you don't enjoy what you're talking about, right? People can sense it in your content, how much you enjoy what you're doing. And they can sense if you're just doing something because you think you'll get engagement and you don't actually enjoy it. People sense that, especially in videos. It's impossible to succeed in videos unless you enjoy what you're talking about. So, I mean, yeah, obviously it's great that Elon retweets and stuff like that. But like at the end of the day, unless you love the thing, it's like it's not going to be successful unless you love it. So that's one. The question about bookmarks. Bookmarks are interesting. Bookmarks, I feel like likes have bigger impact on impressions, and bookmarks have a bigger impact on longevity. If I get a post with a bunch of likes and no bookmarks, I'll get a bunch of impressions in like the first 12 hours and then it'll kind of die off. But if I have a post that has a ton of bookmarks, I'll get impressions and likes for like the next 3 days. So bookmarks have a bigger impact on longevity, which actually long-term has a better impact on impressions, because over the long term, you'll get more impressions. But like that, like these videos have been putting out with a ton of bookmarks. First 2 hours, nothing special from an engagement or impressions perspective. But when you go a day and a half down the line, they're still picking up likes and impressions, like it's the first hour. So the longevity is a lot better with bookmarks. And also at the end of the day, like if people, even from like just a subjective perspective, like if people are bookmarking your stuff, that means they trust you. That means they think you're smart. That means they're learning from you. And that's a better indicator of like if they're going to follow you and engage with you more. Right. So I go for bookmarks, not just because it's some algo kick in it. I go for bookmarks because it means the people bookmarking it, A, think I'm smart. So shout out you if you think I'm smart. I am smart. B, it means they trust you, right? They're going to like, okay, this is a guy's a source of truth. I'm going to come back. I trust what he's saying. And C, they'll probably come back to your content again. If they're bookmarking it, they might come back again and see it multiple times. So there's a lot of advantages to bookmarks.
To me, bookmarks.
Sometimes I feel like bookmarks means that they didn't read it. They just found the hook interesting and that they want to come back and check it out.
That's it. It's not normal X content, right? It's not that like, I'm going to just look at it for half a second and swipe like or whatever. You're talking about something where you're going to steal their attention for a period of time that is longer than normal for X. And they're like, I don't want to do that right now, but this does seem cool. So I'm going to come back to it later. And that seems to be what the bookmarks are all about.
That's why I bookmark things. Okay, I want to talk about a slightly different topic, but well connected. It's something that even as a person who doesn't really code much and isn't like the biggest user of AI, and I do use AI enough, that I wanted to go into. Oh, Doge. We can talk Doge in 1 second. But before I get to Doge, I wanted to talk about AI agents. Because to me, as this observer, AI agents seem like they're a huge factor in what's coming. And I don't think people fully understand them. But to me, it seems like, what a lot of like assistants do nowadays, or even people within your company, AI agents are going to be kind of like what takes over that area. So I just wanted to hear your guys' thoughts as, more experts within this area and what the everyday person should know about AI agents as they see it popping up more on their timeline.
Yeah, I was actually playing around with an incredible AI agent yesterday. I got to look it up. It's an AI agent built into the browser, and it does work in your browser for you. And it was pretty incredible.
How would you succinctly summarize what an AI agent is for people that are unfamiliar?
It's just an AI that can autonomously execute on tasks for you. It can take action. Right now, non-agents are a chatbot, right? It just responds to you. It's not taking action. It's just it's just talking to you, right? An AI agent can actually take action autonomously for you, right? So when you're talking in Grok here, you're just talking back and forth. There's no action being taken. It's just communication. But an AI agent, for instance, instead of saying, hey, what's the answer to this math problem? You can say, hey, go do this thing for me. And the AI agent does that thing for you. It has agency. You can figure out how to take action. And so this is going to be the big theme for 2025 is, the last couple of years have been, okay, let's build the intelligence of the AI. And now the theme for this year is, okay, how do we actually give that AI power to do things? And so there's a lot of AI agents. I was playing with one yesterday. It can control your browser. And one of the big features that was advertised with this agent is it can go on X and reply for you, right? That's an example of something like I could have this agent go find every post on X that mentions the algorithm and then have that AI agent reply for me to those posts and say, hey, check out Creator Buddy. It can build you amazing content and help you in the algorithm, right? That's what the power of AI agents are. And, there's this, I think there's this kind of fear of AI agents that most people have, which is, oh my God, every reply on X now is going to be AI. Yeah, it will be. And like, there's just like that, you just have to get used to that because that is whatever's the most innovative, whatever's the most efficient, easiest, that's going to win. Innovation always wins at the end of the day. And so if it's faster and more efficient for people to reply with AI, it's just going to happen no matter how much you hate it. It's just going to happen and surface to the top. Innovation always wins at the end of the day. Innovation always goes to the top. And so you're going to see agents that do everything. The dead internet theory is going to come 100% true, whether you like it or not, because it's always going to be easier to have AI do tasks for you than to have human beings doing tasks for you. And so it's a really exciting time because, if you watch the Grok presentation from a couple nights ago, the next pillar in their 3 pillars was agents. So that's coming. That's going to happen. Every new innovative AI product coming out now is agents. And so everything will be controlled by agents soon. Everything happening on the internet will be done by agents, and people just got to get used to it.
I think that there will be a faction of people, maybe a large one, that really tries to avoid any sort of AI generated content. They'll block people that do it. I think people do value authenticity. And I think there's something to be said for people who write everything themselves. But these agents are something else. And, writing content for you on X is just the tiniest sliver of what they're capable of. Alex nailed it when he said they have agency, right? When you talk about having free will, part of it is like, do you have agency or not? Are you driven to do things aside to just responding to your environment? And that's what these agents can do. They are driven to do things. Not only that, but they have new capabilities like controlling the browser, like searching the internet. There, any action that could be programmed, right, could be built into these agents and given them that agency. And most people, you're right, they're unprepared. They don't really consider at all how this is going to change the world. It's not just content creation. This is going to change everything, every single job. And I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're writing code or flying a plane. They're all eventually going to be done by agents. Some of them will be embodied agents in robots, right? And we are just now getting to the point where these agents can be useful. These chatbots were not useful not so long ago. I remember working at companies where we tried to automate some of our customer service by building these chatbots in the past. And it was awful because the experience was bad because the chatbots didn't know what the hell they were talking about. They couldn't really help the customers that much. But now they're really smart and they have the ability to look at databases and search the internet. And there's all these different things. We are inching our way towards a world where a lot of tasks that were previously done by humans are not required in the mix anymore. So whether or not we choose to continue to employ humans is maybe another thing. But we are just now putting our toes in the water, and it is very deep water. And that water is, what is it that we're doing now that can be completely automated? I've spent my entire career, 25 years in software development, manually automating these things, right? But now there's going to be an agent that can replace me, and it's going to go in and it's going to, identify problems in the business, identify inefficiencies in the business, and write software to make it more efficient. And then it's going to look at that and make it even more efficient. And it doesn't sleep. Right. And the only cost is electricity. So I think that the world is going to change extremely quickly. I posted yesterday, I've never been so terrified and excited at the same time. And it has a lot to do with AI and these agents and the way that technology is moving.
It fascinates me. I think that there's going to be, for the everyday person, they're going to move more towards how I'm using it right now, which is I still rely on some of the human experts. So like an example, I'm currently purchasing a condo and I definitely am still relying on real estate experts, but I don't want to bug these people all the time. I don't want to have to pay for all the time of their hours and effort. So I'm actually heavily been using AI in the process. In fact, I used AI to write my offer letter because I didn't know what should go inside of an offer letter. And I wanted to get an outline. And so I used it to write it. And it's like, oh, well, you have earnest money and you have inspection periods and you have this and that. And it just wrote it all out because it's seen it a million times on the internet. And then I gave that to an expert and they went through it and they made 3 or 4 edits and they were like, oh, this is pretty good. Right. And so that was an interesting area for me. And then as you get agents, it's gonna be well, you are, it's funny, a real estate agent, right? A real estate AI agent. And now it's this is specifically what you're trained for. And maybe that even plugs into my email and it's doing the back and forth with the realtor, right? And it just takes it to the next level. And so I think that there's a lot of people that have trust issues when it comes to this stuff because AI can be wrong, certainly. And so that's why I'm saying use it to chew through the bulk tasks and then still utilize experts, use your head to be able to make sure that you're getting to the end goal. But if we're already at the point where it can chew through the bulk tasks, in 1 to 2 years, what's to say it's not just going to be able to do the entire thing and it's going to be as reliable, if not more reliable than a lot of humans, right?
Yeah, I mean, the people who kind of virtue signal and say, oh, I'm not doing AI for this because it's not authentic. It's not real. It's not authentic and real. you're going to lose. That's just all it comes down to is you're going to lose. Whatever it is you're trying to accomplish in life, you're not going to accomplish it because someone who is doing it and is not willing to put some fake virtue that it's like the people that are like, oh, I can't drive electric. I have to drive gas. It's the real way to drive a car is gas. It's like, cool virtues, but you're going to lose because electric cars are 10 times better and have full self-driving, and people using it are going to be able to work 2 more hours a day because they're going to be able to work while they drive, while you drive your little gas can and have to be focused on the road, right? So you can virtue signal and be like, yeah, gas cars are the best, but the people taking advantage of technology, even if you think it's heresy, right, are going to end up winning. So people complain that there's AI elements of Creator Buddy, like, oh, you can generate replies to AI. Within the next year, the people who can generate replies to AI are going to be growing faster, selling more product, doing more things, and that's just the state of the thing. So you can either embrace the technology, embrace the innovation, or you can fall behind. And in 10 years from now, when you realize, oh shit, I'm in last place on X, and everyone else is using the tech, it's going to be too late for you.
Why do you think, okay, so when I created my game, obviously Grok created it and I published it, and people were freaking out in my comments, you didn't make this, whatever. And I'm sort of laughing, I'm using a tool to create something. But then when it comes to my voice, I have a lot more hesitation. I have no issues writing code with AI, but I don't like to have AI talk for me. It seems like I'm an imposter when I do that. You don't feel the same way, Alex?
No, because the reason why is technology. This is the way the world is going. You go into iMessage right now, what happens? You immediately, I can go into any iMessage and I immediately go into it and I hit the thing and I get 3 AI recommendations of what to say to the person I'm talking to. I go into my Gmail and Gemini goes, here's how to respond to this person. This is the way the world is going. There are efficiencies to be had. The efficiencies are making us uncomfortable, right? Which that's any good efficiency or innovation makes you uncomfortable at first. And then eventually you get used to it and you're like, oh, actually the efficiencies I'm getting here are incredible. I don't give a shit about this fake moral I just made up of, I don't sound real or authentic. Okay, but yeah, you can get 10,000 times more done by using it. And so once we get past the discomfort of something that's wildly innovative, we are going to be embracing the hell out of it, and everyone's going to be doing it. And again, a technology isn't innovative if it's not making us feel uncomfortable. And this is so innovative that it's making us feel uncomfortable. And eventually people are going to get past that discomfort and start embracing it.
This has to have happened a million times in history. You probably have people who were like, washing machines, real people wash their clothes by hand. What are you doing? And then you had computers. I go to the library. I read books. Books are where it's at. You're never going to get anywhere in a computer. You probably had this over and over and over.
Dating apps. And it's when dating apps first came out, 10, 15 years ago, right? I literally thought creepy weirdos. Who the fuck would use a dating app? If a friend told me they're on, I'd be like, oh, you're a loser. Can't get chicks. Ha ha ha. And now it's 90% of relationships are built on dating apps. For it to be innovative, it has to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, but if they put a bunch of filters on there and everything that they wrote about themselves, they didn't even write. And when you sit down at a table and you try to talk to them, they sound nothing like what they wrote. Then it was very inauthentic, the entire process. And it's not more efficient at that point. It's actually inefficient for all of the users that are scanning that person because they end up going on a date with some loser.
There's a difference between using technology to gain efficiencies and using technology to lie and change the way you look. Those are two very, very different. There's a difference between someone using an AI to find all the posts that mention the X algorithm so that you can reply with, hey, check out my X algorithm tool, and applying a filter to your face so that instead of looking ugly, you look hot. Those are two very different things. One is lying, the other is gaining efficiencies.
We're already kind of into the tea section here, but there's a couple of tea items to cover up all this tech that I'd like to touch on. And the biggest tea probably of the past week was Elon Musk having a couple more potential kids in the world. And so I just want to say, I personally, so obviously everyone has probably seen the post now from Ashley St. Clair. Ashley's really funny on the timeline. I thought it was a joke at first. I don't know if I'm like a
I
bad
did too.
person
I
for
thought it was a
thinking
joke at
that.
first, too.
I thought it was a prank. I thought it was like a ha funny joke.
Me too.
Elon has kids. Please respect my privacy. I even her comments below when she was responding to some people, I still couldn't tell. I mean, how many millions does this have on it? Almost 50 million impressions. Okay. I really thought that this was like great joke, hilarious, viral post. She's going to come out tomorrow. Like Greg was commenting on it right away. Maury Povich, she was responding and doing the laughing emoji. And so to me, I immediately was like, this is really funny. I have no clue if it's real or not, but shout out Ashley. You're getting that big paycheck off of the impressions and the views and the clicks and the likes. Then it all escalated. And then somehow there's a New York Post and she's shoeless, sockless, sitting in a windowsill. And there's like a chessboard with like the chess
I love
pieces
how
in the
that's
wrong
like a
positions.
notable thing. Everyone
And I'm
brings
like-
it up. She has no socks on in the
I
There's no
noticed
socks
the
on.
feet too. I totally noticed the feet. I was
I'm
like,
like-
was that on purpose?
I'm like, bro, what is
such a
going
weird thing.
on? And so Elon now has, I guess if it's true, I still don't know if it's real. She's like commenting on his stuff, saying like, Elon, like, please come home. Your children are waiting for you. And he's like commenting on other people's stuff. I still am so lost in the sauce on this. I guess at this point it's probably real. I think my brain's been so messed up by like, if you guys are familiar with like the dude Nick, Choose Rich Nick, who does all these like big like social media stunts where you like get thrown
I'm
off a
friends with
boat
him.
or
I love
something. Yeah, like he's hilarious, but like none of it's not real, right? They're like putting it together as
It's a
a
character.
persona. And I was like, is this a persona? Is this a character? I was so lost. I literally sat there and did like 30 minutes of research. I still couldn't tell. I'm more convinced now that it's real. I don't know what Elon has going on. I don't know if they even actually had sex. I think that maybe he's been doing this like IVF stuff. So guys, I'm just a little lost here. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
I'll say this. Obviously, it's very sticky, this situation. Very, very sticky. I like Ashley. We've
Yeah.
played Fortnite before. If, I personally, because we've played Fortnite, Elon might owe me some money as well. But I'll say this. It does feel like one of those Meghan Markle type situations where it's like, respect my privacy, give me privacy. And they're like parading around with the sign, give me privacy. It's like, if you wanted privacy, why are you doing a New York Post story with your feet out? I don't know. I like Ashley. It's just, it's optically, it's kind of funny. It's just kind of a funny thing. Respect my privacy, but here's a New York Post story. I feel like only God can judge. I'm not going to judge people for wanting to have 98 kids. Do your thing, baby.
Yeah, you don't have
it's
to
a tough
go.
thing to do. It's a tough thing to do unless you have $300 billion. There's no one who's in the middle class having 13 kids. I'll just say that.
It caught me by surprise too. That's for damn sure. Anyone who's been following my account probably remembers when I did my face reveal. Ashley
course.
St. Clair did that for me. I've hung out with her in Pennsylvania as well, so I've seen her in person a couple times. She's always been really cool to me. It caught me by surprise too, but I didn't for a second think it was fake. Right away, I sort of wondered what was going on, right? And it seems like something happened between the two of them behind the scenes before any of this happened. It seemed like there was a fight. Like you said, Elon's responding to other people and not her. I saw Milo post some old screenshots of, her talking about trying to marry Elon like 5 years ago. And he responded to that and was like, wow, or something. So clearly there is drama going on between the two of them behind the scenes. I really hope, for the sake of the kid, that they can figure out how to get along. At the end of the day, I think that's probably what's most important to me. It is a bummer to see them fighting, I think.
Yeah. It was just super, super interesting for me to see on the timeline. Like you guys said, I'm a fan of her account. To be honest, I like a lot of her ideals and the things that she stands for. But she also like really does employ a lot of comedic comedy. So that's why I was just like, okay, this is like a very serious thing on a very funny account, and I have no clue what's going on. And then it just obviously boiled over for days and days.
Here's
into everything it
the
became.
one misstep is the image she used in her announcement post, as well as the images like the PR guy, I guess she has like a PR guy, used was like the most memeable image format of all time. The white background with like the black text and then the PR like email address at the bottom was just like so memeable and surreal that like that I thought it was fake too when I thought it was like a joke when I first saw it. I'm like, this is such a meme. Like, what is going on here? Just like the white background, bold black text, PR guy email at the address of the like, this can't be real. Like, it was just so memeable. Like you got to be like careful nowadays in 2025 when you have like a serious announcement. You got to think before you post, like, is this memeable or not? If it's too memeable, you got to figure out how to tone down the meme.
Why is the white background with the black text extra memeable? What is that?
It's hard to describe the memetics, and maybe we want to bring on a memetics expert next time to explain the kind of memality here. But it just made it too easy to make your own version of that image and then put in like your own kind of joke text into it, right? He was like, there was this just like kind of subtle humor in like the PR email address, like, hey, I'm having a kid. Here's my PR guy at the bottom if you want to reach out. Like, just the whole thing was kind of had a surrealness to it that
and of
made
course,
it very memeable.
Kind of the cherry on top was this was on Valentine's Day. So, right, like that's the cherry on top, and that's really the whole thing that brought it all together. All right, last piece of tea before we wrap up. OpenAI and ChatGPT, OpenAI, and xAI are now heavily competing, and their engineers are taking it to the timeline, which is pretty interesting, which I don't mind. I like healthy competition. I think it breeds excellence. And if you're going to make some good, funny content out of it, even better. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this.
My favorite was when Sam recently, in a video clip, said, I really wish that Elon would compete by releasing a better product, right? And then boom, it was like the next day, all of a sudden, all of the benchmarks, oh, that chocolate, that's actually not 4.5 from OpenAI, which a lot of people were speculating that in this chatbot arena, there was a new mystery chatbot, Chocolate, that was like beating everyone. And they're like, oh, this is probably the new thing from OpenAI. Turns out it was Grok 3, and it's beating all the benchmarks, right? So that happened just days or even maybe the next day after Sam said that. So that was just the highlight for me.
Yeah, I like competition. Something about it just feels so petty to me. I don't know. We got a bunch of nerds in the timeline arguing about benchmarks, and it's like, what are we doing here? Clearly so much of this AI game is now marketing somehow, and like who can market the benchmarks the best and market the power the best, and literally no one knows what anyone that's talking about
it's
it all.
For recruiting. That's why, Alex, because it's not for
It's
you.
valid. Yeah, it's funny, like you never see Anthropic engineers arguing on the timeline or Anthropic engineers like saying, oh, look at the benchmarks we pass. But Anthropic continues to be just like one of the top, AI companies and AI models used. And like, there's no one seriously using any other model in Cursor. Like everyone, they play around with DeepSeek, then they play around, then they go back to Claude every single time. So I don't know. I kind of like the way Anthropic is moving in this market. Like they're just shipping like excellent product and that's it. I mean, at the same time, this is, Elon made his career on this type of pettiness, which I love and respect. He's made his entire career shitting on other people and speaking his mind. So, usually you follow the lead of the leader of the company. So good on them. I don't know. I don't get super pumped when I see these people arguing on the timeline. Ooh, we're going to get better AI out of this. It's like, I don't know. I kind of wish you guys were just building better products.
With your personality, I'm so surprised that you're not more into, like, I guess, leaning into the drama. It seems like something you'd be so good at. Like if you worked at xAI or OpenAI, I picture you being that guy on the timeline talking loads of trash, right? But meanwhile, you're sitting there, poo-pooing on the engineers that are currently doing it. Why is that?
I don't know. I'm just I'm just communicating the gut feeling I get when I see these things. Yeah, if I worked for OpenAI, I'd be shitting all over Grok, and if I worked for xAI, I'd be shitting all over Sam Altman. I'd say what a punk ass I'd be saying probably if I worked for xAI. You're right. I don't know. I just see that. I don't know. Maybe it's just seeing nerds arguing the timeline. Like, all right, chill out, guys. Oh, but this benchmark, you use this technology to show. So your bar charts are not. Look at the gray area on your bar charts. It's like, I don't know. I wouldn't be talking trash like that. I'd be talking trash like, hey, I just sent this prompt to your AI and it stinks. It was garbage. It is the worst response possible. This is garbage AI and no one should be using it. I guess just because the arguing's a little dorky to me. It should be more WWE, in my opinion.
I'm intrigued to see where it continues to go. A lot of good content, I will say, on the timeline this past week. I thought that it took a step up. I saw a couple things. I'll just recap, and then we'll move to wrap up here. I did bookmark kind of just like a few things that stood out to me. First off, I saw the greatest community note of all time. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. I'll go ahead and drop it real quick to Evan if he wants to pull it up. This was hilarious. Someone tweeted, they said, "You think the itsy bitsy spider gave an F about the rain? No, it climbed the spout again. Lock in." And it got community noted, and they said, "It's important to note that the sun came out and dried up all the rain," which I thought was the best community note that I've seen. They linked to Wikipedia to the actual breakdown. I think the content's just stellar these days. I read an awesome thread about the CEO of Scale AI, which I thought was really good. He's a 25-year-old youngest self-made billionaire, I believe, Alexander Wang, and what these kids are doing these days, dropping at MIT at 19 to start, building technology. I just find it all fascinating. So all stuff we'll be covering here on Tech and Tea as we keep going forward. Penny, any final comments on this one?
A couple other big news items this week. I was a big fan of Palmer Luckey and the Anduril commercial, "Do not work at Anduril." I love the direction that corporate culture is going in America, or at least corporate tech culture. He's like talking about, how he has to actually show up in the office and how his old job was like 9 to 3, but now, and how everyone is actually working for the mission and they love America. And, he's like pretending like he hates it. I thought that was hilarious. There was also huge news from Microsoft. Their Majorna chip, which apparently they've been working on for like 2 decades, they invented a new state of matter that allows them to have fewer errors. And they think that although there are fewer qubits in their quantum processor than the Willow one that Google released, they think that theirs will scale better. And they have a road to that million qubit processor, which they think is like a benchmark for making these really usable. So crazy. Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, just recently said that quantum computing is decades away from catching up with their technology. And I think that, Microsoft is now saying years, not decades. Wow. So that's interesting for like Bitcoin people, anyone related to security, anyone, investing in chips. I think that's like huge news.
Yeah, these are really, really big pieces. Apologies, we didn't cover them more in here. I'm glad that you went ahead and pointed them out. We'll definitely continue to dig into these, but highly encourage people to go watch the video as well as check out the news on the chips. Alex, anything that we didn't hit on your end?
Yeah, the chip stuff is crazy because of the type of world we live in. If governments and consumers would be able to have access to quantum computing, because Bitcoin is not quantum computing proof. Meaning if you use a quantum computer, you can basically crack the the hashing that goes on with Bitcoins, which would make it go to zero with haste. There are solutions to this. You can make Bitcoin quantum proof, but it isn't right now. So before we have any sort of usable quantum technology, which I'm sure there's a lot of governments out there that would want to send Bitcoin to zero. There's a lot of different technologies we need to think about in a post-quantum world, like crypto, like bank accounts and passwords and all of that, that would just be completely useless in a world where quantum computing, was efficient and worked well.
Yeah. There's really interesting repercussions to all the technology that we're studying and how it's going to continue to affect each other, intertwine, and to be honest, probably about 75% of the repercussions we just have no clue yet are coming, and we're just going to have to live through them and find out in the moment and discuss them here on Tech and Tea. So thank you everybody for listening to another amazing episode. We'll be back very shortly with more Tech and Tea for you to listen to. Take care, everyone. Have a great week.
Love you all.
Bye, guys.